Hey guys, it's LynkPlaysGames. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I have a lot to discuss with you guys. Um, hmm, there's a lot behind the scenes for companies and corporations that we may not be aware of. And technically, I have no easy access to said logic. I don't know anyone who's higher up in the chain of command. I don't know anyone who will be knowing of any of this information. Um, I I have no connections to figuring this out other than reading on it myself. Um, but I want to disclose that I will not be mentioning the company I work for any further. I will not be mentioning anything specific about the place other than it is a corporation. I will not mention location or anything that can give it away. I will now be hiding anything work related from my videos. Um because unknown to a lot of people, and this is maybe slightly known, um but not the full degree of it. So, if you work for a big corporate company or just a big company in general, maybe not quite a corporate uh company, like in fast food, for an example, like McDonald's or um any big fast food place that has many franchises, or even in retail like Target and uh Ross and Hobby Lobby. See, I was careful not to say anything about the place I work because I'm sure a few of you are aware of where I work. Um, Never disclose. Don't disclose where you work anymore. For my content creators and even you non-content creators. Um, because if you do work in a big corporate company, they can actually search not even just your name, but it is easier to find out it was you. They can search the name of their company and find many posts, many videos, many TikToks. They can find TikToks um that has their company in it. Um so many people know, don't post bad about your workplace on Facebook. That's a no-brainer, right? Um do not post on Twitter, don't post on Snapchat. Even though you may post on Snapchat and no one that works with me will see it. My Snapchat's private. Um, there's a way around that. Um, I'm not quite sure all the details and how quite legal that is, but I am aware of cases of Snapchat being an issue. It's just less likely than YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. Um, Basically, companies can search their name. If they have a feeling of they know an associate who is posting content about them, they can search their name and that word and find your post immediately. Um, Basically, you're screwed. There is some reasoning behind me going by multiple names. I do not go by my legal name, nor do I disclose my legal name, because if I were to speak my legal name, they can still find me. If I make them aware of my alias as what it would technically be described, my preferred name, um, they could technically find me. And yes, I've mentioned my preferred name before. Um, but in that content, I did not reveal anything about my work. And if I did, it wasn't nothing severe enough to be an issue. Um, I've mentioned the name of my store multiple times. Technically, they really can't get me on it unless they bring it to the attention of somebody who knows me, which is very unlikely. I work at a small store in the chain. Um, but they can search audio. I know that's very hard to believe. Um, and you would think, like, no, there's no way they can catch you based off of audio. Um, Basically, that is how TikTok and YouTube have their algorithms, is based off of topics mentioned in said videos. If you do not put in the hashtags and stuff, they will also, check and see behind it. Um, just to make sure, that the right people are engaging in your videos. Um, so if I were to just drop the name right now, um, the corporation I work for can find this video, um, and be like, okay, well, we're now looking for LynkPlaysGames. Joke's on them. LynkPlaysGames is obviously an alias for, it's hardly able to read, but that, an alias for that, and that is an alias for my legal name. Now, I put that in quotations because obviously I do not go by my legal name, and it's a bit of a stretch from my legal name. And it's also not the name I go by at work, even though technically part of this is the name I go by at work. But also, corporations aren't gonna look for what you go by. They're gonna go based off of what your legal name is. So yeah, that's a little fun fact for all those YouTubers going by their legit name. Like, do you have like no care for privacy? Anyways, so continuing on. So corporations can not only read your posts based off of you mentioning their name, based off of just searching your name and checking through all your posts, but also audio in your videos and your TikToks and your, like, you can post something about retail on TikTok, and if you mention your company's name, oy, it doesn't matter if you speak it, it doesn't matter if you put it up in a text right here, they can get you. They technically, depending on what you say, cannot fire you for it. Now, if you are just ranting, just saying, I had a customer today at this store, not disclosing the specific store, but disclosing the company name, they can find you. And depending on how badly you complained, and how you go about the situation and explain the situation, they technically could fire you. They're not going to, because it's invasion of privacy and all that. But that will be motivation for them to look for something to fire you. So yeah, no longer disclosing that kind of stuff. But continuing on into policies and their loopholes. So I live in a right to hire, right to fire state. Of course, it's just a right to hire state, but we know what it means. So basically, any business can fire me for being trans. They can deny hiring me for being trans. Though the company I work for has a policy against discrimination, based off of gender and sexuality. Um, but even though I do not have to come out to my coworkers, my leads, my supervisor, my store manager, my anything under the sun that is above me, I do not have to disclose that I'm trans, but I do have to disclose I wear a binder. It's technically for specifically some job roles. It is very hard to actually access the text that defines this, and I wish I had a screenshot of it. I don't want to dig back through and find it. I did find this tonight. Of if I were to not disclose that I was wearing a compressive chest binder or compressive clothing material, specifically like over my chest, if I did not tell that to my leads and my supervisor and say I was doing strenuous work, I was out in the heat, I was, you know, unable to, say, hey, I gotta take a break. Um, if I were to get hurt on the job without disclosing that I was wearing something that could affect my breathing and my rib cage, and I have an injury based on my breathing and my rib cage and my lungs and all that, the company is not responsible for the injury. Um, the only example I could personally give is, say I'm out unloading a truck. Now, again, this is not my job, but say in a world I was out unloading a truck. Say that I was twisting and bending and moving all sorts of ways, and my binder got a little too tight on me, and I didn't stop and say, hey, I'm wearing a compressive material. I need to take a minute. I need this. Or even saying, hey, I need a change. Without my manager being aware of what I'm wearing, if I were to, say, pass out, being due to restrictive breathing, or I turned the wrong way and it caused an injury to my rib cage, if that gets reported that I got injured and they find out it's due to a compressive material, aka my binder, the corporation is not responsible for it because I willingly wore that. I willingly kept it from my supervisors and my leads and took that risk on my own. If, say, I were out doing something strenuous, I was out in the lot pushing carts and getting carts in from the outside, or I was outside loading a car for somebody and it got too hot and I couldn't breathe and I pass out, and my supervisor and my leads don't know I'm wearing a compressive material, you have to cut that off of me. If something happens to me due to me not letting them know, hey, get this off of me immediately, I can get fired. Though technically they will not fire you per se. They will write you up. They can write you up. They can say, we were unaware of a health issue. A health issue that should have been brought to our attention. If you end up in the hospital, like you pass out, you end up in a hospital or something, they don't have to pay for it. They can actually get out of workman's compensation issues because you had a factor in what happened. You caused it. By not disclosing that you were wearing a compressive material and an injury occurred from it, and they didn't know that they could have helped you and would have made the damage less severe, they can get out of handling the situation. It will all fall onto your shoulders. I thought that was a nice little fun trans fact that I learned tonight. More things. Obviously I'm using my phone to record, but work phones. Hi. If you use your personal cell phone or you have a work cell phone, they have all right to technically go through some things. Now, if it is a bring your own device and it's apps that they didn't like tell you had to have, but they were like, hey, you know, it's better to have this, those are for the most part fine. If you sign a bring your own device waiver, or if you get a device from them, they technically can go through your personal information and all your personal data and everything. And how they get through that. Now, the company I work for is starting to normalize the bring your own device and here's a work phone and stuff like that. They have it like, oh, you know, we care about the privacy of our customers and our associates. We cannot go through your personal things. But if you scroll down far enough, I looked online tonight, because I was like interested on reading on that because, you know, companies have loopholes. And I'm constantly a fan of reading up on policies and being aware and being in the know of how is this company gonna get out of this situation. If you have a work phone that doubles as your personal device, if they supply it, they can go through everything. It is their property. Doesn't matter if you pay the phone bill. It is their property. If it flags them that you said, hey, I'm at work, or yeah, I'm up at name of company, it flags them and they will read that conversation. They will make sure that you are not texting your friend saying,
hey, work is bullshit. I hate my managers. This place is going to hell.
If you say shit like that, if you start ragging on your company and mention their name, even if it's in text message, if it is on their device, they paid for the device, they can get you. And I mean, that sounds like a no-brainer, right, guys? But if it's a bring your own device situation, that's where it kind of gets gray, don't you think? Because here I am, I just spent $200 on a phone. And the company tells me, hey, you know, you need a work phone. Here's one of ours. And I say, no, thanks. Well, fine. Then sign this right here. Most people will sign blindedly, which is where we fail most of the time. Definitely read up when your company wants you to sign anything. I don't care. Read. Freaking read. And if you cannot read or you struggle with reading due to dyslexia, ask someone to read it to you. All of it. Don't let your supervisors or your leads or your managers or your whatever have yous, don't let them say, oh yeah, this is just basically saying this, and that. No. You want it read word from word. You want to know what you're getting into. I don't care. Let them say I don't got the time for it. Then I'm not signing it. Until you have the time to read this to me, I do not have the time to sign it. Um, and I mean, technically, you can get in trouble for, you know, causing a big fuss like that, but in all technicality, if you cannot read and or comprehend the material and they're trying to force you to sign it blindly, that is a lawsuit. Because no one can force you to sign and agree to something. They can't. They can tell you, like, oh, well, this is a requirement. Sign here. Well, what am I signing? If they say, oh, well, you're just signing that you acknowledge that you are required to do this. I'm sitting here like, I can't read this. Can you tell me word from word what it says? Make sure you tell them. You want to know specifically. You want it completely read to you. Tell them you do not sign anything without knowing exactly what it says. Um, so in that case, they really can't do anything about it because, you're required. If you do not agree with the material, you can tell them, I don't agree with this. I'm not going to sign that I agree when I don't. There will be some fuss, there will be some issues, but technically they cannot necessarily fire you depending on the situation. It's like similar to a write up. They tell you, "Oh, well, we're writing you up." I've never been written up, so I don't know the full extent of, what happens. But from what I've heard, is they tell you you did this, sign here to state you went through the conversation, and it's like, did I go through the conversation or did you just tell me this, and this, and did not hear me out? I know many people who never signed a write up slip. My youngest sibling being one. I'm sure my older siblings have done a few times. A couple of my friends have. Um, so I mean, how far you take your battles is up to you. I'm not saying go and fight these corporate rules and stuff, but I'm just telling you, be aware of what you actually sign. But anyways, continuing. Um, so with the whole bring your own device being the gray area, they can ask you like, okay, well, download this app, this app, this app, this app. I've of course never been through this situation yet. Um, this is something new that's happening within my company that I work for. You technically really don't have to take their work phone, nor do you have to bring your own device. You could require to use their device that they keep at their location. You do not have to do all that. But say you do bring your own device and you get their apps and whatever. Well, when you do that, they typically tell you, like, you have to give us permission to see your location while on the clock, or you have to give us permission to have access to this, that, and everything else. Just like how Snapchat and Facebook and all those other social medias, when you use their app, you have to give them special permissions. Well, with corporate apps, they require the same thing. Which makes no sense, right? Why would my work app want to know my location? Always ask yourself why they're asking these permissions. I mean, for Snapchat, it's just so you can use a geo filter, or you can pinpoint like where you're checking in at. For the one app that I do have for my work on my phone, um, it's so it knows that I'm clocking in the store, not outside of it. Um, so that's technically good. But when you bring your own device, they can check your location when you are not on the clock. Now, yes, that sounds against the law. um, it should be. I'm not quite sure if it is or not. I really need to read into it a bit more, but it don't sound right, does it? Um, they can, you know, record audio. Like on my personal app that I have for my work, uh, they have it where, there's a walkie talkie installed, but no one uses it. They actually tell us not to use, like, not to bother with it, but yet it's there. But yet it's still, regardless of whether or not it's being used, it's requiring me to allow it to use my microphone. That's because when you are in the app and or on the clock, it can record you. Uh Typically it's not going to. They're not gonna they're not gonna like go out of their way to record you unless they are investigating you. That's where they get you guys. Um so in the policy, as I was reading, um it says it's not gonna go through your personal data. And it says sensitive material, sensitive data may be on a need to know basis if you are under investigation. Funny, right? Um, so basically, what this is saying is I know a lot of companies are still doing leaves for illnesses, or this, that, and everything else. And I'm not going to mention names, but I know of someone who recently was on a leave and it kept popping up that it was checking her location. Because for the specific leave, we typically have people who will go out on leave and then they won't be at home, but they'll be collecting that money, right? That don't seem fair. So big companies have found a way to combat that. Bring your own device, and here's a work device you must keep on you. And then you're on leave, and all of a sudden, checking your location, they're making sure you're at home. They're making sure that you are on leave correctly. And though technically the person that made me aware of the situation, even though, she was following things properly, and there was like nothing that really could have got her in trouble or anything that looked suspicious. Just because she didn't do it doesn't mean someone else won't. Like for me, say I were to get sick and go out on a leave, or I were to go out on like a family leave, family medical leave. Well, I have a bring your own device, and I got all this corporation's apps on there. Say one of those days, it's just I've been having a tough time. I need to go get my mind off of it. Me and my boyfriend go somewhere fun and exciting. Say we go to Six Flags, or we go into another state and go to like a state park or something. Basically somewhere that wouldn't line up with your correct leave. Well, ting, there's corporate's notification that you are not where you are supposed to be for that leave. Now they're investigating you. Now they're going through your personal information. I mean, that's a little creepy, don't you think? I mean, it's good for them really cracking down on these ones who are, faking leave and taking leave just because they want a break and they want to go out and go hang out with friends and go this, that, and everywhere else and actually end up with an illness that will cause them to need to go on extended leave or go back out on leave. Good on them for that. But in all reality, just like I'm gonna mention when my mom was very sick. Um she was in the hospital. I never took an actual leave. I did go to work. But if I were to have gone out on leave and say I did the bring your own device, um, and at the time, I was going to the hospital to see her, and then I would go out with my boyfriend and like get my mind off of things, and I went to another location to buy stuff. Like I bought my Switch Lite, and I'd go out to eat and I'd go sit at another friend's house, or I'd go do this or that, or whatever the case may be. Well, if I was out on a family medical leave and here's corporate getting a ting, Lynk's not in his right place. Lynk's out doing this. Corporate's like, whoa, hey, what the? Corporate now has access or has an excuse to go through my stuff to see if there's anything that is causing me to see or that would make them conclude that I took that leave with the intent of not taking it for the right reasons. So that's something you guys need to be aware of. Trying to think of other policies. I know I've been recording for a good minute now, but there's just so much to uncover with policies, and I think I'm gonna dig in more, and I'm gonna start making more videos like this. And I'm not gonna go just after the corporation or company I work for. I'm gonna look at all of them, and even though I'm not gonna give off names, I'm gonna mention, their screwed up policies. Because there are ways they can weasel out of just about any of their policies that protect you and protect your privacy, which is disgusting, but it's true. So, I am gonna end this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are one of my coworkers and you fucking snitch on me, for legal reasons, that wasn't a threat. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do anything. I'd just be really mad at you and disappointed in you. I thought what we had was special, bro. Lady bro. I work with a bunch of women, so lady bro. But no, seriously. Guys, don't snitch on me. I'm making you wake up, and I'm waking up a ton of other people who's dealing with this crap. It's just sickening that they're getting away with this, and that trans men need to be careful for wearing a binder at work and being comfortable in their own skin. And even though they don't discriminate and they don't do this and they don't do that, yes they can and yes they will. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.